One of the best Air Jordan 1s of all time is set to return next year. New Balance's latest loafers are set to dominate this year's summer cookouts. More Jordan 4 SBs for next year as well. And Nike are laying off more employees and cooking in the courtroom. All of these stories and plenty more in this week's Sneaker Wrap. Hello everybody, it is me, Jordan Young, back with another Certified Hood Classic. Every Saturday I do these episodes where we look back at some of the biggest sneaker news stories from the week, talk about some exciting upcoming releases, and generally just have a gay old time. Let's kick things off by recapping some of this week's biggest releases, and it was a pretty hectic week, man. RIP some of your guys' credit cards if you came up on multiple pairs or you even got into some of these streetwear releases. But starting off for you guys over there in the USA, you had a small restock of the Dornbecker Freestyle collection. I think a lot of people were angling for the Jordan 3s, but apparently there was only something like 300 pairs available. Guys also had the Nike Jar 1s in this mismatch colorway. The Joe Freshgoods 1000s dropped. They also dropped here in the UK, which was a pretty tough task to cop. Adidas and Bape dropped a collab called the Adidas N Bape. There was a couple of colorways. These have also been an interesting talking point because apparently one of the names of the model is LWST, which some people have inferred to be an acronym of lawsuits, which is obviously something still ongoing between Nike and Bape. You also had the Jackie Robinson Air Max 1s, which were also very limited, supposedly something like around 30k pairs. And you had the Jordan 1 Green Glows for you guys in the US. Here in the UK, we had the Drake joints, these orange bad boys. And today we had the Vivid Sulfur Air Jordan 4s, which I was so pleased to come up on. It is great to be back in a time where Jordan 4s are sitting again. And if you guys wanted to check out my latest video talking about the rise and fall of Air Jordan 4 hype, be sure to click on the video above. We also had the Nike Sneakers app rollouts of the Kobe 8 Venice Beaches. We also enjoyed here in the UK and the EU at least a small restock of the Nike SB Dunk Low Chicago from the J-Pack. And there was also a Supreme collab that went down with Nike. No release on the shoes actually, those apparently have been postponed to a later date. There was also a Palace collab with Evisu that went down. And so for me, the only things that I came up on personally was the Vivid Sulfur Air Jordan 4. Did you guys get lucky? Feel free to let me know down below. Right, let's get into some sneaker news, and I want to start off with Nike, who are bringing back some cult classics. This is a program. It has a bit of promotional material that you can see right here. They're going to be bringing back some cult classics like the Air Force 1 Low Linen, the 180 Ultramarine, the Air Max 90 Duck Camo, the Nike Dunk Low Veneer, and you can argue amongst yourselves as to whether or not you agree with Nike that these are indeed cult classics. But I guess my question is why have they made a program and done all this promotion to do something that they basically do ad nauseum, which is just retro shoes that we have seen a whole bunch of times before? I mean, this has been the entire reason that people have been criticizing Nike in recent times for just going into the archives and digging out old models and giving us updates and charging us more. If anything, I'm sure we would all agree that what we'd love to see Nike retro is the old prices and not so much these shoes that we've seen and bought and sold and bought again before. What do you guys think of this program? Is this just marketing hoo-ha, or is this actually something that you guys want to see? Feel free to let me know. Now this next story it's semi-sneaker related. I've seen a lot of sneaker pages and a lot of people talking about it. You'll have no doubt been watching on with interest the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake and J. Cole and others. But what was quite funny this week was Drake took a size label from a US 7 men's shoe as album art for his diss track against Kendrick Lamar, where he says something like, how can you be big stepping when you wear a US 7 men's, or something like that. And interestingly, Sneaker Store Riff LA have white knighted and come to the defense of Kendrick, saying that he actually wears a bigger size than US 7 men's. For me, it's a pretty petty, pretty rubbish diss, to be honest. It took a long time to come to us as well. I think the coolest thing to come out of it is that we can now look forward to a Kendrick diss. But to be honest, hating on a guy for having small feet isn't really the one, in my opinion. I sometimes wish I had a lot smaller feet because it would be way easier to get certain sneakers. What do you guys think of this? Staying with Nike, they are going to be laying off 740 employees at the Oregon Nike headquarters. This is according to Reuters. Shout out to copoclock for featuring this story. And this is in accordance with Nike's plan to try to save $2 billion over the span of the next 3 years. As you guys know, in recent times, Nike stocks have been falling, with a lot of people finding a lot of interest in other sneaker brands that seem to be doing a little bit more in the innovation space. Safe to say that the whole retro wave has pretty much fizzled out to a large extent for Nike. And they have reported that revenue may shrink by single-digit percentages in 2025. Some sneaker legal updates here. This update has come courtesy of sneakerlegal himself. Shout out to the bro. Today, the New York court granted a default judgment to Nike against Omi. You guys know Omi and a Hellcat. The court ordered Omi to pay Nike $8 million. And this is in reference to his sneaker line. You'll also know that similar allegations were filed against Cool nicekicks. And this is a default judgment. So it's important to note that this judgment didn't come about through the merits in the case. It came about because Omi wasn't there to defend himself because he is currently incarcerated. And so this $8 million bill will no doubt compound his frustrations as he continues to live life behind bars at the moment. But this does also mean that Cool nicekicks is probably next. Let's talk about some exciting sneaker announcements, some exciting rumors. You guys probably want to quickly jam out to the kitchen and grab the salt shaker and maybe even the pepper grinder so that you can season these rumors appropriately. They could well just be cap, or they may well change, or whatever. But let's start off with this rumor here. The Nike SB Air Jordan 4 white and navy is set to release next spring. There has been a number of rumors about different colorways of the Nike SB4. There was like a red cement type colorway rumored. We've also seen the sample of the Black Cat on the feet of Eric Costin. But this pair here, at least according to these mock-ups, look pretty much the same as the pine greens from last year. So the mock-ups are only speculative at this point. But I think given the shape and given the comfortability and given the cleanness of this colorway, these will no doubt be very, very popular. We also heard this week that we could be getting another Air Jordan 1 High 85 for next year, this time in the BREDS colorway, and these are slated to come out in the spring of 2025. The early retail price, it's being said here, is $200. Bro, $200 for a Jordan 1? That's just seeming a little bit high to me, but obviously no mock-ups to go off. We've just got the originals from 1985 here, which do look really good. It would be awesome if they came out just like this. It's unknown at this point whether or not they're going to be some kind of a reimagined or if it's a remastered, or we don't know what kind of spin they're going to try and put on these bad boys. But it would be appropriate for it to come out next year because obviously next year is going to be the 40th anniversary of the Air Jordan 1, and these could potentially release around All-Star Weekend, which was the time when this shoe was worn by MJ during the 1985 dunk contest, as you can see from this image. More Jordan 4s for next year, this time a black fire red deep royal colorway set to come out in the spring of 2025. And these look pretty cool, pretty clean. They kind of look like a blue thunder, which has become a very famous colorway online for mainly being a fake or a replica. But I feel like with the red Jumpman on the tongue, that gives a nice bit of contrast and pop to the shoe, even though these are of course just speculative mock-ups. We've also seen a whole bunch of Jordan 1 low OGs announced for next year as well, including some pretty tasty looking colorways. First up, we've got the Obsidian UNC releasing sometime in 2025. Retail price around $140. We're also apparently going to be getting a Jordan 1 Low Rookie of the Year colorway, which look pretty nice as well, according to this mock-up. And also a Jordan 1 Low 85 in the Royal colorway as well. Right, let's talk about New Balance because they have been stirring up a lot of conversation in the comment sections of many a sneaker post this week on account of these, man, the New Balance 1906 loafers. We've seen a couple of colorways surface, one in this gray colorway and the other in this sort of brown navy colorway. And I feel like this is a real Marmite or love it or hate it type shoe. I'm sure those of you guys out there that are already into New Balance and maybe are into the type of streetwear that has somewhat embraced this, I don't know, I guess a kind of like more smart or dressy approach to casual fashion. I'm sure you guys will be absolutely loving these. I'm sure those of you guys out there who are used to being in charge of the grill will also probably look at these being pretty nice. I don't know, I'm not overly mad at them. I can't say I'd be in the market to buy a pair myself, but if someone like gifted me a pair of these, I'd be pretty happy to take them. I would take the shit out of some trash in these or run a hell of an errand wearing these for sure. What do you guys think of these New Balance loafers? Are you rocking these to the grill or are you dropping these? Let me know. Staying with New Balance, they also have another new model that is set to debut this fall. These are called the 8040s. And on first flush, to me, they looked really similar to the Oakley chop saws. They look very casual, they look very comfortable, they look like the type of shoe that you could quite easily just slip on and rock casually. These colorways are pretty safe, pretty neutral, and these, a little bit like those loafers, have got dad shoe vibes all over them. What I do like about what New Balance is doing at the moment is they're not playing it safe. They're not just sheltering under the success of their popular retros like the 2002Rs and the 550s and stuff. They're continuing to try to move forward and maybe think 3 or 4 or 6 months down the line with all of these shoes, and I like that about them. Even though I'm not particularly sold on this model personally, I do think this will be well received in the market. What do you guys think? We've got some more Nike SBs to look forward to. We've had our first look this week at a really clean colorway. These are called the Trocadero Gardens, and this colorway takes inspiration from the famous Trocadero Gardens in Paris, which is situated between the Place du Trocadero, the river, and Pont d'Iéna, as well as the Eiffel Tower. Really nice clean colorway inspired by the marble tiling and the surrounding areas. This is one of the most famous places in Paris to get your picture with the Eiffel Tower in the backgrounds. Quality on these looks really good. Colorway is clean as. I wouldn't be surprised if these came out around the Olympics, given that that's where the Summer Games are. We've also had some updated looks at the Their skateboard collab coming out later on this year. No confirmed date on these as yet. And if you remember, we covered these a few weeks ago where the images that we had to go off had the low res potato pick vibe about them, but with these latest pictures, they look a lot nicer. Digging the green, digging the Dubray, the brushed suede or the hairy suede on the upper looks really nice. They're not like barnstormers. I can't say I'm desperate to get a pair, but they are clean. They do look really understated, and I'm sure a lot of people out there will be clamoring for these. What do you guys think? The release date of the Air Foamposite 1 Galaxy has been updated. Remember, we were supposed to be getting these sometime this year, and then we were told, nah, it's not happening at all. And now the rumors have resurfaced again, placing the release date sometime next year. Some people have suggested, or at least according to this report, that the retro will likely go down during All-Star break, February next year, which makes sense given it was originally an All-Star shoe. $240, the retail. Look, I'd love to see these come back. I'd love to try to get my hands on these. I'm not a big fan of Foamposites, but this is like one colorway that I'd love to have just because they remind me of a really important time in sneaker history, the Nike basketball era. So at least just on the nostalgic grounds, I'd love to try to get my hands on them, but who knows with these sneaker rumors as to whether or not these will inevitably come off. We'll have to wait and see. Right, a little bit of Travis Scott news. We've got the official images of the upcoming Elkins colorway of the Jordan 1 Low. These are set to release on May the 17th. I know a lot of you guys out there are not really feeling these, and I can kind of understand because they're a little bit more out there than previous Travis 1 Low models, but I personally think it's a great summer colorway. I do like to see a slightly more vibrant take from Travis on these. Despite the fact that a lot of people are hating on them, you can still guarantee that they will be incredibly hard to get, sell out, and resell for crazy money. But given the slightly lower level of hype around them, I don't think these will go for crazy money on the resale market, particularly if they make a fairly decent number of them. We also had our first look, or our first sort of sneaky look, courtesy of xcsneaker, of the Travis Sharkadon, which is his second, I want to say, sneaker model with Nike and Jordan brands. And this is the sneaker that he's been seen wearing a fair bit, and at least to my eye, the sneaker that I prefer the look of. But given the nature of these picks that we can always rely on xcsneaker to deliver, I'm not overly convinced by them. This colorway looks to be some kind of brown or dark olive. You can see the distinctly recognizable Spiridon midsole. Got a bit of heel tab action, some mesh around the ankle collar, sort of Jordan 4'S eyelets at the top of the lace holes there, and then you've got the strap on the forefoot as well. So yeah, look, not much to go off from these picks anyway, but if we're getting the early pairs starting to leak out now to these types of people, it can't be long before we see some updated images. I'm feeling the Sharkadon, even though these images don't do them much justice. What do you guys think? All right, let's finish it off by talking about some of this week's biggest upcoming sneaker releases. And to be fair, it's a pretty light week, which I think we'll all be pretty relieved about, considering May is set to be a huge month for sneaker releases. Now, apparently on the 23rd, these are going to be dropping having these. The dot swoosh Nike Air Force One Low, the 404 Aero pair. Apparently, these are going to be limited to 404 pairs, and I think they're going to be sent out directly to dot swoosh members. From what I've come to understand, the whole membership of the dot swoosh thing is a pretty uneventful thing, or at least it would have been up until this point had you not copped anything. Either way, I think the vast majority of us aren't going to have a chance to cop these anyway, and I don't think the majority of us are concomitantly fussed about it. April the 25th, really nice pair of New Balance 993s, the Made in USA Chive colorway. Now you can bet your bottom dollar if this was a Jound collab or something like that, these would be reselling for crazy money. I think this is a really nice colorway and probably going to be quite popular. You also have the Interstellar 993 dropping from New Balance on the same day as well in this really nice purple colorway. 25th, you have the CoJP Low Veneer. This is part of that whole Nike cult classic thing I was telling you guys about at the top of the episode. April the 26th, Nike and Pata are collaborating on a whole bunch of clobber. A lot of people have been making a big to-do about the varsity jackets. You also have the Nocta and L'Art de la Automobile collaboration dropping as well. And you also have the SB Dunk Low Premium Big Money Savings, which is probably the one pair that I would be quite keen to have a run at myself. Apart from that, it's pretty dry, but I very well may have missed something, and if I have, feel free to tap it out down below for everyone else to check out. And that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch the video. Do me a favor and like the video before you bounce. And as always, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take it easy. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.